All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 7:13. I do not see anyone in public for public comment, unless any of you want to make a public comment. No? Okay, so general department updates, Travis?
I know we just met a couple weeks ago, but obviously Heritage Day was a little bit of a bummer. But I think all things considered, we made the right call. It was obviously unfortunate. Everybody kind of hangs their hat on that event, and I feel bad. But at the end of the day, I think we made the right call. We talked to Kristen and everybody else, and going into the weekend, and the weather looked awful. So yeah, we went back and forth with police, fire, DPW. Sunday morning, our inflatable company canceled, and most of the food trucks canceled. And at that point, it kind of made the mind up for everybody. So I think, given the weather going into Monday, they said wind, rain, and it was an unfortunate circumstance. But yeah, so we had to postpone or cancel Heritage Day, so that was a little bit of a bummer. But we're moving on to trunk or treat on the 25th. We had a CPC meeting last week, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We have town meeting next week, the 27th, so we're getting ready for that. And I'll kind of spill into some of the program updates, but flag football is going well. Trunk or treat's coming up on the 25th. I think we have about 13 or 14 trunks, so that's good. Weather looks great. Even better, we started to get some candy donations. So if you know anybody looking to give or get rid of some candy going into Halloween, we've already got like 3 or 4 bags of candy come to the office, and we ordered a boatload of candy last week that should be in mid this week. So it should be a good fun. And what else? And that's
Quick question. Is that the same number of cars like we had last year? Is that pretty consistent?
It's actually a few more. We have Delio Gas is going to be coming. We have a few companies that are going to be coming as well, that are new to the offering this year. So we're excited about that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So it should be good. And yeah, so that's a lot of the department updates. And yeah, we're getting ready for town meeting next week. And this is a little bit of a department update, but Faye, not to go into it too much, but Faye's school approached us again about a partnership for a potential turf project down the line. And Kristen and I are going to meet with them on Thursday. That was something they kind of approached us again. They approached us about a year ago to do it. So that's something we're going to explore a little bit more later.
Where do they want to do that?
Kristen, where was the property?
The Mill Street Fields. We the recreation in partnership with Southborough Youth Soccer Association several years ago. I worked with the president, Colin, at the time, and we spent a lot of time meeting. Like, we went back and forth with Faye. We had a few different meetings, and then it just ended kind of abruptly. It left a little bit of I'm going to dig up all the history. I have to find that just so we have it in our back pocket. But we face the same challenges we would if we want to put it anywhere, and there's not lights there. So that's where it was before. They pulled out of discussions last time. I mean, obviously staff changes, people change, so we'll absolutely go talk to them. But it's certainly not without its challenges. So I just got to find all that historical back and forth and make sure I get that to you, Travis.
Yeah, that'd be great. So that's pretty much a lot of the department updates we've had so far.
Okay. I don't even know, Travis, I remember I asked you and I can't remember what you said. I don't even think Southborough Soccer is using those fields at the moment. It used to be where Saturday mornings were.
Yeah, and that's why I think Faye is asking. They had mentioned.
Is it in Southborough?
I think it's technically in Marlborough, isn't it?
It's technically Marlborough. It's right over the line. Yeah. I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong. For the little kids soccer, I mean, those are some fond memories. 8 o'clock in the morning with your Dunkin' Donuts and all the other parents, and but that's all that we ever used it for. And at the time, like I said, we were trying to find a way to afford some extra turf, and so that's the property we were looking at with them. But with it comes a lot of restrictions on when we could use it, when they could use it, and we're never going to get lights there because it's residential. So there's definitely some drawbacks. So
Yep.
we're going to meet with them, and then we'll obviously keep everybody updated.
Yep, everybody updated. Then the Tricentennial meeting, our Tricentennial committee had their Oktoberfest. We helped them a little bit out with that this past Sunday. It looked like they had a decent crowd. Teddy, my oldest son, had a football game in Milford, so we couldn't. I wanted to go, but we couldn't make it. But I heard
Same. I wanted to go too, but we were in Tewksbury for hockey. Literally, we left at 1 and didn't get back until 5.
Yeah, we had a 3:00 game, and it got bumped back in the afternoon because it was originally supposed to be at 10. And then I got 3, and it was like right smack dab when you needed to be there. So by the time we got out at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, it ended. But the pictures look good. The feedback seemed good. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, the weather was perfect for them.
They still are a good weather day.
Yeah. I couldn't go, but I did drive through sometime between 1 and 2. I was dropping my daughter somewhere, and yeah, it looked like a good crowd was organizing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we help them out with tables and chairs and like town support with that. So the Rotary Club, yeah, they knocked it out of the park. So that was good to see. And we've actually, this is going further out, but Christina has done an awesome job. We've actually already started our spring summer calendar of events, and I think for hopefully our November meeting, we should be able to share some of the stuff that Christina's and I have been working on for what we have upcoming spring summer programming and activities and community events and all that fun stuff. So November, we should be able to provide you a little bit of an update what spring summer might look like.
Yeah. Question, just because I know we're going to get into the heart of the discussion, which is the CPC application. Did Don reply to you about tonight?
No, he didn't. And I sent that reminder out on Friday. And a side note, did you guys get, I learned it was me. I had, apparently when I send a listserv out for the commission notes, I have to do it to you individually, not the Recreation Commission email distribution list. So I sent it to each one of you individually. Did you guys get it? If not, I can talk to IT. You should have got something like like you would a Google folder, like an accepting. Did everybody get that? Just to review the meeting
reminder of the meeting?
Yeah. No. Sorry. The access to the folder to see the agenda and minutes.
I did get it after
Yes.
I emailed you to say,
yes,
where's the folder? I did get it. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm used to Google Drive, so I wasn't sure what to expect with Outlook, but I have the folder.
Yeah, I'm very much used to Google as well.
I just texted him in case he forgot, just asked if he could jump on.
And we have capital on the 13th, just to keep everybody in the loop. So that's our first capital meeting. So they invited Chris and I to come for the capital outlay committee, which we can talk about later, but that'll be on the 13th of November. And that's like the first pass of what we're submitting for this year. And they only asked 3 years out. So that'll be the first pass at that.
John's joining us. He's just getting in the house now, so let's hold off on the CPC discussion just for a sec.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else interesting to fill with. I take it skiing sold out.
Skiing sold out with a waiting list, which is great.
Yeah.
Trying to think the one-day hit programs in December that I told you guys about last meeting. The mass majorities have filled, which is great.
Oh, wow.
So like
Awesome.
dodgeball, I think we have a dodgeball tournament with close to 30 kids in it in December. We have a chess tournament we're doing. So there's only 1 or 2 that we didn't go, but I think I think 8 or 9 of them are going, which is, I think we might be on to something, which is pretty cool.
That's really great. That is a cool way to introduce people to possible.
Yeah, and it was November to December would have been hard to do like another rap session because everybody once you hit Thanksgiving, I feel like a lot of people, it's hard to throw something, like string something together for 3 or 4 weeks is tough.
Yeah.
With schedule.
Yeah, and if they have like a standing, like my kids have standing hockey Tuesday, Thursdays, whatever. But if it was like a 1 day thing,
Yeah.
like a dodgeball or whatever, I would let them skip to do that if it was something that they want to do. So I wonder if,
Yeah.
Yeah, Woodward
Yeah.
had 30 kids for dodgeball, so or 28. So I am hoping not a bloodbath will ensue, but I think that
how
I
hard could
think
they possibly throw at that age?
the Gatorade ball, the Gator balls too. You can't do that much damage.
Yeah, that's
Knock on
awesome.
wood. We have a handful sign up for our New Year's Eve at noon program. So that's cool. We're going to be doing a New Year's Eve celebration at noon at Woodward. Our stained glass program is filled up again.
I was gonna ask
Pickleball.
that. That looks like it's popular.
Yep. Pickleball just filled up. Neary Running Club is back. Well, not back, but we did a true running club at Neary for 6 weeks.
Have you heard how Trotter cross country is going?
I heard okay. I think they have close to 40. We have 15 in the running club, which is awesome.
Wow. Yeah. That's really great.
Yeah, so it's we had close to
Oh,
10.
Trav, I think you have to, Travis, I think you gotta promote. Can you promote Don?
Yep,
I think I just
Great.
did it.
there you go.
There he
And
is.
we had close to 10 in Kids Cook today
That's fun.
at 21 Highland. Yep. So we got to smell of brownies all day at 21 Highland. It was hard to work.
But you didn't get to eat any?
Didn't get to eat any. They took them all home. It's sad. I was waiting for that noon. Hey, maybe they'll get out and they'll come down and they'll share what we do with us. But no, I just got to smell it all day.
Oh, they didn't bring you one. Oof.
But the kids had fun. It was good to see the building in use on a not school day,
That's really cool. Hey, Don,
especially on a cold, rainy day.
Sorry for being late.
we
last-
started a little late. Don't worry.
Last
Yeah,
minute
really.
thing, and I've been running behind ever since.
My youngest was yelling gummy bears on the walk in the door, and I couldn't get Zoom open. It was just a comedy of errors on my behalf. So you're not the only one.
So we just got some quick updates. Nothing pressing, Don, on just, what's been going on.
Okay.
Probably most relevant, the only point I'll highlight is that Travis and I are meeting with Faye this Thursday about the whole Mill Street project again. And, I explained a little bit of some of the challenges we ran into, and I'm going to dig up all the old correspondence that we had going back and forth if I can. Looks like our town email gets archived at some point, but I think most of that was over Gmail anyways, because it was with Colin Hines.
Yep.
So I'm going to dig that up and provide it to Travis, but
Okay.
there's definitely challenges, obviously.
Yeah. Are we talking the old the
Mill
Fayetteville
Street.
the Fay school property, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they just approached us like last week about setting up a meeting and revisit it. So we'll see how it goes.
Who approached?
Kristen, was it the president? That was I don't know who.
I
I'm blanking.
can tell you in a second. I'll look while we're talking about CPC.
Yep. The number one issue, Travis, that we just have to. It's not worth going down the road if we don't have a support for is the single egress.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, really?
and it's not really just single egress, it's the single egress with a train track. So last time we tried this, there was a member of the select board that was adamantly not going to support it. And so we didn't get very far once we started to ramp it up.
Well, and there was also the challenge of time in terms of who gets what, and no lights, and lights aren't going to happen there. So yeah, there was a few challenges. Like I said, ultimately we're not the ones. Well, anyways, it doesn't even matter. But I'll find all that history, and I won't just share it with Travis. I'll share it with everybody, just so you have it for reference.
I can do a Dropbox if it would make everybody's life easier too. And now now that I know how to share, I can start dumping stuff in that you guys can see too. It was Susanna Waters.
She's the
That
head of
ring-
school.
Yeah, head of school. Sorry, that's what it was.
Oh, so it's the Faith School that reached out.
Yeah, so they reached out to Kathy, and then Kathy connected her with us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The last
Her
the last
daughter's
go
on
around.
my daughter's hockey team.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Hmm. Yep.
The last go around, it was the Southborough Youth Soccer Organization had an agreement with the Fay School to develop a field there, and then they approached the town, and then we just had they approached us to help facilitate with the town, and then we didn't get much support. The lights were definitely not going to happen. And then some of the abutters were kind of cranky. But predominantly the issue was is that, if someone gets hurt seriously and a train it comes along the tracks and the train breaks down and the emergency team can't get across if then that would be bad. So the likelihood, of that happening and all of the it was sort of like a lot, but it was enough that people were dissuaded.
Yeah, understandably so. And then, I mean, you're investing some serious capital dollars into a property you don't even own, and not,
Right.
which I can understand being a concern.
At
And
that
it's
time, it
not in
was
our town.
actually at that point it was the Southborough Youth Soccer that was investing money.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, they were going to sink a considerable amount of money in there. And I think they were simply looking for some support. And then, offering to sort of like, hey, we're going to put our money in. Can you guys put some money in too? So it was sort of like the partnership was between them and Faye. And then so I think they were coming to us to say, hey, could you guys help with this or that or these or those? I can't remember exactly the approach, but and they got poo-pooed.
Hmm.
But it is if we were going to put money anywhere, it's tough to put it there without the lights and the likelihood of getting the lights given the abutting property. I mean, this was when did we do this? 2019?
It
Kristen, I
was a
think it was,
long time. I mean, Colin
yeah.
was still, is a
Yeah,
while ago, a long
it
time
was
ago.
pre-COVID and before we really started like getting into like the might even have been 18 really, like 18, 19. Like if you think you can get lights in there, then now you're talking. But if you can't get lights in there, then
I think we also thought part of it might be CPC eligible because we went down the road of looking into like, when that type of arrangement, if the town didn't technically own the property. I mean, there's definitely a lot of
hasn't
history there.
stopped us before, Kristen. We've got air rights, we got a church tower, like what else we got?
But now we know turf's just off the table completely. So, and yes, I do think we found out that we could, and so that was part of the thinking. But we also thought that might not be popular with everybody in town. All right,
stuff.
should we move on to the capital discussion? Travis,
Yeah,
is that something?
I had put that on there. I know I had shared the capital outlay plan with everybody, and we have worked through that a couple meetings ago. But I mean, the update is we were meeting with them on the 13th for the first round of capital. Don, I know we had shot you a note, but is there anything you guys have done historically, like leading up to that meeting, or is we accepted the capital plan that we all agreed on? It's kind of just moving it along at this point.
Yeah, the hardest part is just like what's on the list, right? If I recall correctly, we pretty much have skimmed it down because you're picking off the netting for 9/11 via the revolving fund. Um, he'll probably ask what we're thinking about in terms of Fayetteville Park. But without there being anything significant in there, it should be a pretty not a very in-depth conversation. You know, we've got the 25K maintenance fund, like, you know what I mean? Like it's really sort of anticlimactic this year, I think.
Yeah, the only thing, I think we did 50/50 for the 9/11 backstop fence. It was 50 capital, 50 revolving fund for the
Okay.
9/11. But yeah, it was just those two items. That's it. And then the CPC for Fayetteville, but that's a CPC. Yeah, I put
Yeah,
that
and
in.
sometimes they like to ask about projects in general,
Yeah.
regardless of their funding source. Which okay, it's fine. But like other than that, there's not really you know, last year they kind of were poking at us because they want, you know, the whole school and the fields and the whole thing. And we, you know, we kind of got that pushed off because obviously, with rightly so, we wanted to see what was going to happen with the schools before we would go anywhere. And I think we're pretty much in the same holding pattern, to be honest with you.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And this is last year I'd been here for a few months, but this year you have a year under your belt. So it's interesting to see every year, how the process kind of unfolds and works. That's all.
Yeah, I think you'd be fine. I think you don't have anything big on the radar screen. That's really what swings it because that then the conversation digs deeper into sort of, well, what is this for and how are you coming up with your estimate? And da 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 da. So I mean, there could be some conversation around the as I said, whatever comes from the Fayetteville. Uh but otherwise, I don't think you really had anything in there for next year that was of any sort of magnitude.
No, and I think we punted the turf at Choate to 20. I forget the year, 2033. And I'll throw it up. I'll create a shared folder and I'll send it to everybody individually with like the capital plan in it, just like a folder we can dump stuff in, just so everybody can see it.
Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, look, the smart thing to do is to wait till the school thing settles. Like we don't want to get in the middle of that.
Nope. Yeah. So I mean, I don't really have a ton of updates. Just want to keep everybody in the loop with the capital outlay plan and the capital outlay meeting we have in November. That's it. That was really the big update.
Yep. All right, on to Fayetteville. Well, first of all, we all owe a very thank you to Travis. We went to the CPC meeting on, what was that, Thursday?
Yeah.
And we had a technical review within CPC that literally was just like, I wasn't even allowed, I think I told you guys last time, to answer questions during that particular round. It was literally just what questions they had, how is the application filled out. Travis, we discussed the questions with all of you, and then he wrote up something and they were really happy with it. Just, it's, believe it or not, it's not off, like we don't always get applicants that fill out the form correctly or provide the right information or want to hear the information back from the CPC. Whereas they were really thrilled with what he wrote up. We had a really good dialogue with some additional questions. We discussed I think the biggest thing that we can talk about, and Travis, I'll let you talk about, is the grant and kind of the question mark there. So we'd had a lot of discussions about the grants available, not available anymore, and those that would be available, and the timing of the grants, which we'll get into in a second. But in general, it's just a really great conversation. They really appreciated the effort that Travis put in. They communicated that while he was there, but also after he left, comments were made. So thank you for that. And I guess with that, we can dive into the questions, Travis, unless you want to add anything.
No, that's it. It was I'm happy. The meeting seemed to go well. Everybody seemed to receptive.
Yeah.
Did anybody get to see it at all or hear about it, or no?
I'll say there was a lot of excitement. I mean, I think a few people
Good.
especially were like, this like, we're surprised you could fit that much there, and it looks great and it's exciting. So, the big number one question is whether or not there'll even be enough funds to do it. We won't find out until October-ish, November, how much we're going to get from the state. And then obviously we're still refining our estimates with Activitas. And then the real big question, I think, is on the splash pad potential grant. And Travis, I'll let you go into that.
Yeah, so it's It's a grant. It's a federal grant through the state. It's one that Woburn and Leominster just got a few years ago, but unfortunately, the timeline is a little bit longer than what I thought it was. So originally, the grant closes, I think, in early January. You have to have your application in to DCR in the state. You have 90 days after you submit that. You get your answer whether you got. I think Woburn got 400,000. I think Leominster got 200,000. I've seen some other communities. I started to work on a splash pad comparison for what other communities have done, and I'll kind of touch on that a little bit later too. There are quite a few that got turned down, which is understandable. Not everybody's going to get it. And then once you hear back at the end of the 90 days, you have to give an affirmative town meeting vote. But there's actually two layers of approval that I didn't know. It was one, the state, you hear back at the end of the 90 days, but then the federal side, the folks that just went through the application process last year just found out from the federal approval process within the last week or two. So it's actually, you give your application in January, you don't hear back from the fall if you get the grant, even after the affirmative town meeting vote. The federal side could come back and say you don't have it. So you have to sit on it. So it's a little bit longer than I thought. And obviously there are some other grant applications that I've kind of started to poke around with. Obviously the accessibility piece is a big piece for this project. You're making Fayetteville a lot more accessible, which is great by doing this project. So I think it opens it up for a lot more grant opportunities with that, which is good. Still have to kind of unpack that a little bit, but unfortunately the Land Water Conservation Fund grant that I was hoping that we might have an answer on in like March, April timeframe, it might actually be a little bit longer than that. So that's kind of the grant update. They actually have a workshop on November 17th in Westboro at DCR they're going to go to. So I'm hoping that I can get a little more information about it as well. So I'll have, hopefully if we meet in December, I should have some more application information going into when that's due in early January.
So we kick this around. This is where the CPC is really helpful and a lot of the experience there. Tossing around, what do you do in that light of that? Do we think about splitting it up? And they actually were not that any vote was taken or position, but that was not actually the road they went down. It was more taking an approach like they did for Trails Committee most recently. And that's, you write the CPC, the warrant article in such a way that we address the fact that there might be this grant. And if in fact there is the grant, either we say we can spend that additional money, or what I think makes more sense is we return that money back to the CPC upon learning if it was received. So meaning we get a total cost of the project approved with contingency. And there was a question for us to validate if 20% contingency was the right number to use. Because we've actually, in years past, we got a little kick at town meeting because they felt our contingency was too high. We said, well, let's just talk and find out what the average is these days for this type of project. But they suggested doing the all-in cost. And again, then with the contingency, and then if we got the grant within the wording saying we would give that money back, or we wouldn't spend the CPC money, and instead that would come back to CPC for the amount equivalent to whatever the grant is. And that's what, Freddie recommended and Lisa recommended, and they've done it with Trails. So I think that's the gist of what I took from that, Travis.
Yeah, no, but they felt, I genuinely, like the questions they had outside of the stuff, and the stuff that you guys submitted with the dog park was super useful because that was stuff that I put in the questions that they had. But all the questions they had they were concerned about the dog park. And I found a couple, like three, oddly enough, I found 3 parks, one of them being Chelsea, Fitchburg, and Watertown, that have parks that have dog parks that are right next to splash pads. So I have like 3 rendering examples where communities, and I'll try to share the Chelsea one with you in a second, but obviously they're cities, but we're kind of in similar spots where we don't have a ton of room. So you're trying to put stuff where you can. But the questions they had were all things that we knew were coming, and like little things about like dog parks next to DCR property, lights in with the future. They seem genuinely like
Yeah, they
excited.
seemed we didn't even think about lights, right? And at least two people brought up, well, in the future, we should see if it's successful. Because
Yeah.
in the summer months, especially, it'd be nice to use the splash pad a little longer. And so we're like, oh, okay, well, we don't think we're going to put it with this one, but
Yeah, so it was good. Parking was one, but we all knew
parking
that.
was a big one. We
It
got
was
to
a
get out and count those damn sites on Central Street so we know for sure, because I know, Don, I remember us going through this and saying, if we paint them and they park correctly, there's actually a lot of spots there. It's just that people
Yeah.
don't park in the lines.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the accessibility for the dogs. Like, ideally trying to avoid the need for dogs to pass by the splash pad directly. So obviously the alternative entrance that you suggested, Don, last time is a start. And then we started talking about like signage to try to get people to walk in a certain direction. All those possibilities that we said we'd discuss with Activitas.
I just shared one from Chelsea. Did you guys see that?
Oh, I thought you were going to share your screen, so I stopped sharing.
My bad. Hold on. Entire screen. Hold on. All right, hold on.
And we also made sure and reiterated, John, especially the work that you and Jen Travis have done, like there is no other spot for short of a developer giving us some property or someone donating some property. There's no spaces for a dog park.
Yeah, so this is Polonia Park in Chelsea. They're still in design, but they are hopefully going to use something similar to this. And if you look at it, it's actually a park splash pad. Can you see that on Tremont Street?
Yeah.
And the dog park's on the right, the bottom right, and they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
And Watertown's a little more separated, but it's still in the same park. So I actually was able to find a couple examples when I poured through this, and I'm starting to collect. Let's see if this opens up. Sorry, I don't know why that's.
Do you know if that Chelsea one's like approved and or are they going through the same process we are?
I think they're going through the same process.
I'd just be interested to see if they had the same conversations about that and about the division between.
Cities can move a little bit faster, obviously, but I'm starting to build up a good database of other communities that have spray parks, just so you have a cost comparison, funding alternatives too, and size. So still trying to pull it together. The top three are the ones that actually have, and I actually know Filipillo Park in Watertown. And it's interesting when you go through this exercise where all the funding comes from, because I found one in Braintree that was a trust fund. I found a bunch of CPA capital. Like everybody kind of goes through different funding processes for these, which is kind of interesting. So I'll share the entire like Fayetteville CPC project folder with everybody so everybody can see deeds, maps. And Rachel, have you seen the actual like 2D rendering? Do you want to see that?
Sure.
Let's see if I can pick the right one. Man, my computer being slow.
While that's coming up, there was also a lot of questions just about the maintenance and then the kind of the replacement cost. And Travis explained to us that he's managed one before, and it's more like you're replacing components over the years and versus one big build. But I think the question is there any point that you'd have to like, pull up the surface for some reason and replace, some of the piping or, some of the
infrastructure,
like the infrastructure, exactly. And that's the takeaway, right, for Activitas?
Yes, we need to tweak the so that estimate that you guys have that I've shared with you guys. We just need to tweak that, which they're actually working with me on, and they got back to me on. So they're gonna try to tweak that. They did say that the industry standard for 20% is what they've seen for contingencies, so I might not change that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to get them here. I know that they were excited to hear that the CPC meeting went well. And now that we're kind of hitting the ground and it seems like it's getting some traction, I think I'm going to try to get them here for either November or December, hopefully November. Now that there's some movement on the project, which is nice. So I'm going to try to get them here in November so we can talk more about this.
Yeah. From a CPC perspective, November would be, I know you heard it, but like they're very concerned about timelines. So, you know, whatever, the sooner we can get them, the better.
Yeah. So the estimate is just an updated. They did say she's gonna try to tweak it, but she did say replacing the parking lot. The initial estimate that we had the parking lot were the number 3 areas, that little shady grassy area above the spray park. They say that it might be a little bit less, but it's not going to be that much. So I don't think that number is going to change too much.
But I think again, the CPC was glad that Travis was like one step ahead of them again, starting the price comparison so we can see by foot, you know, are we being charged a fair price compared to some of these other projects? So again, they know that we have that in progress and seemed happy about that as well.
Yeah, and already reached out to DCR about dog park abutting reservoir, and they're going to get back to me about that. So yeah, so it's in motion, but I think in general, I got a good vibe from.
Yeah.
They seem really good to work with. They seemed excited about it.
Yeah, it's more like the question's more like, yeah, we think this is a good idea. What about this? What about that? You know what I mean? And like the wood chips, right? Dawn, I was having flashbacks to like the turf.
Yeah.
You know, with that meeting where we felt all the different turf options. There's a little bit of discussion on what you put in the dog park, and we were like, well, we think, you know, there's actually some good suggestions on how to get wood chips too. But like, what's the maintenance for those? Because like people will pick up one, you know, number 2, but dogs are still going number 1. So do we have to like, how often do you refresh them in light of that, and questions like that? So good questions, but certainly not showstoppers.
Right.
Was there any decisions we needed to make tonight, Travis? Because that's why we originally booked this, to make sure we were keeping things moving along. I know we wanted to respond to whatever we got out of the CPA, but I think most of them are questions for Activitas. Like there was no major decision for us to make. It was more like, yep, keep going down the road you're going, right?
I think we wanted to. Is there anything I wanted to put that in the department updates, but at town meeting is next week. I don't think there's anything that we have that is coming out that we need to be super worried about. But the yes, in regards to CPA, I don't know if there's a ton we need to vote on or anything like that. So there's more of an update as we work. I just want to make sure everybody feels like they're have something to say or have an opportunity to weigh in on it as we work through this. That's all. This is my first CPA application, so I just want to make sure everybody feels like they can give us input on anything. That's all.
And I think we wanted this on the calendar in case the meeting went the opposite way. You know, if they were like, if you don't have that grant, forget about it. But like you said, it was good. So
glad that it went well.
Yeah.
Sounds like you did good due diligence, Travis. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something I'll work on. So tomorrow you'll get a share invite for the CPA folder, and I'm dumping everything in it, so you guys can have access to questions, answers, deeds, pick everything that is going into that. You guys can have access to. Obviously, you should.
Yeah. Then in that case, my only big thing is, and I'm so sorry because I know we're hitting you over the head with it, is to get Activitas. I do think like one meeting with all of us would be good.
Yeah, I think, you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. Maybe when they're a little further along. Like, I think we need to target November with them for sure, because if not, we're going to give the CPC a heart attack.
Yeah, I think they wanted to come. They just wanted to see some traction with it, and I think now that there is a little bit of traction, and I can understand. I think that I think now that we have a little bit of momentum, they'll be more apt to come. And it's not going to take a super long time. It's just give us input on the rendering and then any cost advice or anything like that. So it'll be good.
If you guys do get a chance to listen before we meet with Activitas, to hear some of the questions from the committee. That would probably be helpful because I think we need to discuss things with them, like the options for the fencing. That was another question, like, does our zoning allow for higher fencing in between the dog park and the water park? We'll get that answer, and then like just making sure we've talked through all the options of the entryways and things like that, and any other questions that we might have. But I think what, Travis, you were there was like half an hour, would you say?
Oh, we were there for a couple hours. It was,
We were
yeah, it was,
discussing.
yeah, it was,
We're-
I didn't get, we started at 6:30. I didn't leave till I think 8:30.
Okay, so maybe you guys don't want to watch the whole thing. For some
It
reason,
was,
it went much quicker in my mind. I don't know.
it felt like it went quick. I mean, they
Yeah.
were all good, and they're a really good group. Yeah, I mean, Chris and the CPAs, they seem very receptive, and any issues that they have, they seem willing to work. The budget's probably gonna be the biggest one, or parking.
That's what's going
Uh,
to come to. Yeah.
They made it clear that they don't know yet, but they like the project. I don't think it's a, and yeah, so I think fingers crossed. So far, so good. So-
Just for your knowledge, there's two other applications. One we discussed the other night, and it's related to the a tower in the graveyard, which was actually up last year, and they took it off, and it's up again. Historical's doing a lot of work to make sure they're accurately, using all the right materials and everything. So they're working with an expert, but I think it's a little bit of a question on whether or not they'll get all the work they need to get done in time to actually have an application this year. Because they need to get us report, but they need to get money approved for the report first, et cetera, et cetera. And we're kind of coming up against, tight timelines. And then the other is one for affordable housing. And there's a meeting with CPC on Wednesday about that. But there's also not, we don't know how much money is there, but we're not talking endless supplies. So, but there's not a ton of applications this year. So that could be working in our favor too. But I mean, again, I think we wanted to set this up in case there was, we had to pivot, but it doesn't sound like we have to. So in that case, is there anything left on the agenda for this evening?
I think that's it. I think if you wanted to vote on the minutes from the when was the meeting, the 3rd? But that I think I'd send that to you guys. But if that, I think that's it. And if you guys wanted to try to schedule next meeting, a date for next meeting.
Yeah. Should we work that around? Did Activitas say certain days that work for them or not?
Yeah, you're right. I can work with Activitas and throw out some dates, and then I can send them to everybody, and we could see what we come up with.
Okay.
And then
so
it's the meeting minutes from October 6th.
That's it.
I can make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 6th. They're in the folder.
I can second that motion.
All right.
Okay, roll call vote. Christine,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
and Kristen's a yes. So we will wait to work with Activitas and Travis. Let me back up. Do you guys agree that you want to meet with Activitas? I think when I was thinking about it, it was more like where we're going to have a bunch of questions coming out of the meeting with the CPC, but we don't really. So before we make Travis jump through those hoops, do you guys find value in meeting to go over the plans in more detail and ask questions?
At some point, we should be chatting with them, Kristen, just to understand, like, I would have thought the cost would have gone down without the construction that would have been necessary for that parking. But
Yeah.
unless they didn't appreciate the elevation drop.
The grade, yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be good to understand sort of like how,
Yeah.
what assumptions they made, but that I'm not saying that that meeting has to happen like immediately. Whenever the time is appropriate,
Yeah.
we should make sure they get in front of us.
We're kind of in that funny area where we don't know if we're going to get the project, so they're not going to spend a ton of time trying to give us I mean, they're going to give us an accurate quote to what they feel they can, but when once you start taking a deeper dive and so you're kind of in that weird kind of gray area.
Yeah.
I think the deeper dive will need to come when, and I guess to your point, they're not going to want to preemptively plan too much with us because it may not be worth their time, but there could come a time where either because of the CPA financials or some other reason, we may need to understand what splitting up the project would look like. Maybe. But to your point, they're probably not going to be very interested.
What we'd have to do is, and I thought we chatted about this, but correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, but you'd be able to use the splash pad for activities, scheduled activities, right?
Correct.
So
So
that
program.
would be for programming, yes. So that would bring the revolver into play, Kristen, to use to have them do the initial like design, right? So
Yeah.
typically that's a $15,000, $25,000, $35,000, they usually get it. They know what we need, right? That we need something more than their free time, but not quite the full exercise. And they've been pretty good. I've done that for us a few times now, where we can throw them some money and they can do what they can with it. And that allows us to get tighter on the numbers. It maybe allows us to kick the tires on the 20% a little bit more. It sort of validates like, oh, all right, we assumed it was this material, not that material. Well, what if you took that out? What if you put this in? Then that buys us that. So at the appropriate time, we can do that on our own, right? Because
Right.
it's the support programming that would be covered under the revolver.
Yeah. And they were receptive to that as we shared that. And I think that was appreciated and it was a good move. And it just in general does look good for us to be showing that good faith effort to do some of the funding up front.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with them. They said the rendering's great. Like they went back and forth and did that a couple of times with me, and they did a good job with the 2D rendering what it was. But to Don's point, now depending on how serious you get with a project, now it's like, okay, we've really got to get a hard like estimate. This is how much it's going to cost, because right now we're working off a soft cost estimate that we don't know. There's a lot of questions, a lot of what ifs.
So just thinking about meeting with them, I mean, we can set our next meeting date then tonight for November. Have we done that? For some reason I thought we had, but maybe we hadn't.
Are there things that we need to know from Activitas for CPC, like in a timely fashion that we can get like outside of a meeting?
There are like estimate updates. Like the estimate that CPC had the original parking lot in there, which we took out. So now it's just a matter of right now. I've only asked CPC to update the estimate to reflect the new rendering for what we're going to have. But that was the big. That's what I've asked them, and then I put.
But we don't need to meet with them for that. They're going to do that anyway. Okay. So it's not imperative that we meet with them in November.
No, I don't. I think we might be okay. I mean, Kristen,
Okay.
What do you think?
I mean, I agree with everything you've said. Like, we are in a kind of weird point because we don't know how much money is going to be, but like, if we get confirmation back on how much is going to be even available, we might be like, oh yeah, now we got to phase this thing because it doesn't have a chance anyway. It's a town meeting. And then we might need to sit down and talk to them. And whether or not they'd be willing to or not at that point, I'm not sure. But to your point, there's still some open questions even on the financial feasibility. So maybe we need to just sit, wait, get the answers to what the CPC asked. But then I think we need to wait and see how much money is in play this year. Do we have a shot at this? And then we probably need to make a decision if we should proceed forward with the design or not. So I guess the only reason I could see meeting with them is if we get to a point that we think that we need another potential second approach to phase it, but that's probably premature at this point.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that the CPA, and I'm sorry to go back, was they had questions on the bidding assistant and construction administration.
Oh, yeah.
And the projects that I did see did have an element of construction administration and bidding assistant on it, because obviously they're large scale projects. And I asked Activitas about that, and they said they were very involved with municipal clients for all the bidding assistance and construction administration. So that's not uncommon. So I think that's pretty common in the field. There are elements that I can take on that will help lower the cost, but it'd be nice to have them involved in the bid specifications and construction administration, because they know they do this on the day to day.
Okay, then we'll hold off on Activitas at this point. So why don't we select our November meeting date?
We could all meet at the Gobble Wobble. Just throwing that out there.
I'll be in the Caribbean.
Oh, I'm jealous.
I know, I'm actually really bummed that I'm missing the Gobble Wobble this year. We do it
Yeah.
every single year, and then this year I was like, no, we're going away.
This is the first year I might be able to go, so I'll just take your spot. So.
I'll be there.
Yay.
So should we try to aim for the week of the 10th?
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah.
That works.
Right now, is November 11th a holiday? Is that Veterans?
Yeah, it's Veterans
is.
Day.
Okay, so we can't meet then. I can do Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Wednesday's ideal for me that week, but I
Good.
can make Monday work if I need to.
I can make Wednesday. I can do Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday's good.
Yeah, the 19th.
12th.
The
The
12th.
12th.
I have to manage the tricentennial meeting.
Monday the 10th.
Vanessa's going to be out. So unfortunately she has asked me to fill in. So I've very graciously offered to help them out with that meeting.
So
I
what's
actually
better for
see-
people, Monday the 10th or Wednesday the 19th?
On
Yeah,
my
and-
calendar, I see fall special town meeting 6:30 p.m. tentative on November 10th.
Was that the original date that they had? And then they moved it to the 27th? I know there was because the curtain call was having a performance at the middle school and they bumped it back.
Oh, maybe that's it then.
Because fall special town meetings on the 27th,
Monday.
Monday.
Okay.
Are you going, Don? Are you guys, anybody going?
We have to. We got to get the Costco in.
I'm excited about Costco. I don't know about you guys. Shouldn't say
Alright.
that, but
I think everybody is.
Yeah. Items on
As
Route
long
9
as-
are key.
The whole problem is the potential lawsuit, but other than that,
Oh yeah,
from
it says
the
tentative on the
Park
27th
Central.
too.
Owner. So I don't have a preference for the 10th or the 19th in November. One's a Monday, one's a Wednesday. So does anyone have a preference?
I can do
No.
either of those.
Either's fine.
Is the 19th too late for, I know, Kristen, do
I
you
was
want to do the
thinking if
10th?
we can do it the 10th, but if
Let's
that'd
do that.
probably be better.
The 10th is
Um,
better for me.
Sorry, the 10th is
The
Rachel?
10th, yes.
Okay, great. All right, so then we will make it for the 10th. Other than that, there is one person in attendance. So does anyone have public comment? Just raise your hand. Okay, seeing none. Are there any other things that anyone wants to bring up?
Kristen, when's the CPC meeting in November again?
Oh, you're gonna test me. Just 1 second.
You can let me know. It's not a big deal.
Okay, it's
We
I've got
you
too many
can-
calendars
you
open here.
can
I'll
let
let
me
you
know.
know. I want to say like the 13th, but don't quote me on that. Let me get back to you.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And then this Wednesday with affordable housing.
Great.
Not that you don't need to be there, Travis. I'm just FYI for others. All right. Well, in that case, is there a motion to dismiss?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Adjourn, sorry. Dismiss, adjourn. Is
Second.
there a second?
I'll second the motion to adjourn.
Okay, roll call vote. Christine,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Travis, thank you.
Thanks,
As
Travis.
always.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody. Sorry
Travis.
Thank you.
Bye,
technical
everybody.
difficulties to start the
Bye.
meeting.
No worries.
No problem.
We
Have a good one.
appreciate it. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Gummy bears.
Bye.